I've been meaning to make a video for a few weeks now. There's been a fair amount of interest. I mean, I don't get a whole lot of views on any of my videos, but it seems like the ones where I discuss like my mental health or my gastric sleeve surgery, it seems like those seem to get more views. And so I decided I would talk a little bit more about my relationship with food, or like my history with food, which led me up to the decision to get the gastric sleeve surgery. Um, I am and have always been an emotional eater. I haven't had any like trauma per se. A lot of people that have eating disorders, I don't want to lump everybody into one category, but usually there's some type of trauma or some type of triggering event that happens prior to um, the eating disorder. Now, repressed memories are a thing, and so I'm not saying like, oh, absolutely nothing has ever happened to me. Like, I don't want to sit and say that, but as far as I can remember, there hasn't been anything that had happened in my life that had triggered my eating issues. My parents separated when I was younger. My mom did an amazing job raising four daughters on her own. I mean, we didn't have a lot of money, but I don't think that that really causes issues per se. But anyways, I haven't been diagnosed with any type of eating disorders, but I would say that I'm almost a textbook binge eater, and therefore have the binge eating disorder. Um, but I've never, like I said, I don't have any formal diagnosis. So anyways, ever since I was little, I don't know the approximate age. I would say, maybe grade school, when my mom would still put away my clean laundry, she would find food in my dresser and underneath my bed. And it wouldn't be like, dinner from the night before. It would be like if she made some brownies or she made a cake. My mom worked a lot of jobs to support the household, and so she would come home from work and think, oh, well, the kids ate all the cake. Well, needless to say, then she would find it in my dresser drawer. I don't have many memories of that time as far as why I was doing it, or if I was waking up in the middle of the night and eating it, or like what was going on. I don't have any memory of that. My first memory that I have with my eating problem was we were living in a town called Eagan, Minnesota, and we were living in like townhouses, and we were in the upper part of a townhouse, and our dining room table was right in front of like the entryway and in front of a window. Like, I remember everything to a T, except for what my mom made for dinner. I can't really remember what I was eating, but my mom never like denied us food. So if we wanted a second helping, if we wanted a third helping, I mean, as long as we were hungry, she wanted us to be full. Well, and this was probably before I would say that I had a weight issue. I mean, I was always kind of built a little bit heavier, but I wasn't really considered overweight until my teens. And so there was really no reason for my mom to limit my food, in my opinion. So anyways, we were sitting down, we were having dinner, and I don't remember what we had had, but it was like my third or fourth helping, and I ran to the bathroom and got sick because I'd eaten so much food. And then I came back to the table and was wanting to eat more. And my mom said, Krista, no, you're done. You just made yourself sick because you ate so much. And so that's my first memory of eating so much, binging and then purging. And not necessarily purging like bulimic, but purging the food. That is my first memory of doing that. Now, as a teenager, my first job was in fast food. My sister also got a job around the same time at the same fast food restaurant, and with that came a discount. And again, my mom was working many jobs. One of those jobs took her out of the city on the weekends to do bookkeeping. And so as teenagers, we were just kind of left to our own devices. We were good kids, so it wasn't, like an issue. But instead of us cooking the food that she would get for us for while she was gone, we would just go through the fast food restaurant where we worked and we would get food with the discount. And while she was gone on weekends, and it was usually just one weekend a month, we would eat at this restaurant for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I cannot even imagine like the calories that were consumed during this time. But that's when I put all of my, or the majority of my weight on, was during that time. Now, fast forward to any time throughout my childhood or my adolescence, my teenage years, if I'm bored, I eat. If I'm emotional, I eat. I just eat all the time. If we're celebrating something, I want to eat. There's fireworks going on. We're celebrating Santa arriving to Iowa. I'm not lying. That is what's going on. Anyways, and so I have always correlated food with emotions, whether it was good emotions or bad emotions. And I always knew that, and I tried to fix it, but I've never really been able to fix it. Prior to us moving to the house we are in now, we used to have a commute. It's about 45 minutes one way to our jobs from where we were living at the time. And when I would work, my husband has Mondays off. And so when I would come into work on Monday, I would drive home in the evenings and I would stop at literally every fast food place that I was craving on the way home because I couldn't decide on what one thing I wanted or what one place. So I told myself I have 45 minutes to eat, and so I'll just stop and get whatever I want. And it was at this time that my husband and I still had separate bank accounts. I had credit cards, and so he didn't know. And I would come home and I would be so sick, and he would just think that I was just sick. But what had happened was I would stop at like 4 or 5 different fast food restaurants, and I would get 1 or 2 things from the menu, and I would eat it all on the way home on these 45 minutes. And then I'd pull into the town that we lived in, and as soon as you pulled into the town, there was a car wash there. And I would throw out all the garbage, and then I would go home, and I would be so sick from eating all of this greasy, nasty food. But I kept it a secret because I was embarrassed about it. I didn't really tell him why I was sick. That's kind of been my consistent history, is when I go out to eat, I can never decide on one thing. I can never commit to one thing. And so I always overeat because I get things from multiple places, or I get multiple things from one place, and it's a problem. When we lived in Washington, hey Walla Walla, I would do the same thing. I would go through Del Taco. I would go through Taco Bell. I mean, same type of food. I would go through a burger place. I would go to like 3 or 4 different places and then take it all home. And then if I didn't eat it in one setting, I would put it in the fridge for the next day. But I would generally eat until I would make myself sick, and then I would be done. And there was a time in 2012 where I did that. It was a big problem. I did that consistently for a few months. I was really depressed, just not doing well. And then again in 2014-ish, 2013, 2014-ish, when I was doing the commute on the evenings, and I would do that. So I put on a lot of weight, a lot of more weight than what I weighed as a child and teenager. And I realized in 2015 that it was really starting to become a problem, because aside from just feeling like complete, pardon my language, but shit every single day and not sleeping well and being depressed, I had difficulty walking any type of distance. I was having pain in my legs and my hips and my ankles. But the kind of light bulb moment for me that made me realize, oh my God, you really have a problem, is when I couldn't put my own socks on anymore. And despite being obese, my highest weight was 330 pounds. I always had amazing lab work. My blood pressure was always great. I didn't have diabetes. For being an obese person, I was generally considered healthy. I mean, I didn't have any like circulation problems, cholesterol problems. I don't know how I didn't have any of these problems, but I didn't. The only thing that I had was sleep apnea that was diagnosed as a teenager. And so I mean, I wasn't in the best of shape as a teenager, but it wasn't my worst shape either. And so I kind of always told myself, oh, well, you need to lose some weight, but you're not necessarily completely unhealthy. Being obese isn't healthy at all, don't get me wrong. But, you know, for being 330 pounds and not having diabetes and or blood pressure issues or circulation issues or cholesterol issues, anything like that, I think it's kind of rare to see that. I'm not saying I'm the only person, you know, but that's always how I justified it in my head was you don't have these other issues, so it's not a problem yet. When you get diabetes, then we'll worry about it. When you get high blood pressure, then we'll worry about it. And it got really bad. And I physically could not put my socks on anymore because bending over would, I couldn't breathe. Bending over would cut off my airflow, and it was not an easy thing to put the socks on. And so I struggled because it took several seconds to put the socks on, and I would be without breath during that time, or I'd have to hoist my leg up, you know, like grab the sleeve of my pants and yank my leg up, and it became a problem, a big problem. And that's when I said enough's enough and started trying to lose the weight, like really committing to it, counting my calories, trying to eat healthier. I looked into phentermine. There's a video on here about that. I tried to take my health more seriously. It ended up getting to the point where I wasn't losing weight, and a lot of it is because I have a problem with staying committed. I can do great for like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks even, maybe even just a couple of days. I'll have a streak of doing really, really well, and something will happen and my day will, you know, I'll cheat or something, and then I just throw it all away. I say, well, you screwed it up, and I just throw it all away, versus saying, okay, I screwed up today, tomorrow's a new day, I'll get it right tomorrow. And I'm still working on that now, but that was a big problem for me during the journey was if I had a bad day and I messed up, I would just throw it all away. And when I would throw it all away, it would not be good. I would go back to binging. So, you know, if I was eating salads for 4 days and then went through drive-thru and got a grilled chicken sandwich, which isn't the worst choice, but definitely, I mean, it's not a salad, I would just then throw it all away and say, okay, well, on top of the grilled chicken sandwich, let's get a big breakfast with hotcakes, let's get a Big Mac, let's get a large fry. I would completely and utterly throw it all away. And so I had problems with losing and keeping it off. So I had the surgery and I was on the PICC line, and I lost about 100 pounds in a year, which I'm very proud of. But I still have issues. I still give in to cravings. I still make poor decisions when it comes to food that I eat. Portion control is still, it's not as bad as it was before because my stomach can't hold all of that food, but I still will eat too much and be uncomfortable. It'll make myself sick. So the surgery definitely was not a cure by any means. It was a tool that was given to me to try to be better, and most of the time I am better. Most of the time I do well. But sometimes the old me, the true me, still, and there's still issues that I'm working on. Um, but food has always been my best friend. It's always been there, and it's always comforted me. It's always been something that's the focal point of a celebration. I mean, it's consistently been through every high and low of my life, and so it's essentially, kind of as silly as it sounds, it's kind of like going through a breakup. Um, you kind of go through the mourning period a little bit, and so yeah, this is rambling, but that's my relationship with food. That's my journey with food. Um, it's it's interesting to look back at it and ask myself, why was I like that? Like as a child, hiding the food and things like that. Um, but this is who I am. This is what makes me me, and I don't know that I would change any of it. Getting the surgery, it was essentially getting a second chance at life, and I don't intend on screwing the second chance up. So, um, every day, no matter if I have a bad day, I can't throw it away the next. Every day I have to work on it. Um, I have a food addiction, and just like every other addiction, it's a daily struggle and a daily journey. So, anyways, that's my relationship with food. If you want to open up a conversation about the surgery or about your relationship with food or your experience, I'd love to interact with you. I'd love to hear your story. So feel free to leave me comments or send me a message, or reach out however you'd like. I'd love to have the discussion with you. So nice to see you all again. I will see you soon. Bye bye.